All right, testing 1, 2, 3. How now, brown cow? If I say F you in a bucket of goo too soon, YouTube flags my video, so we're just gonna do it later on. How do you do, folks? Rainy Amish Comic here, streaming live from our living room, trying to make Tuesday suck less on Wednesday. More on that right now because what was going on last night was basically nothing. It was just tired, and please, sister in chat here, her and Mrs. Comic are having a little book club meeting. Uh, she was tired too last night, so when I sent the blast out, there was no real reason to not do it last night other than that. I won't say I didn't wanna. I'm saying that I wanted to, but I just wasn't feeling like I had a thing going on. One of the reasons that I felt like I didn't have a thing going on, check this shit out. Hear me, whore. Uh, we got cool friends, okay? So our friend Steve, who is actually my one of my technical people, Scott's, who's in the Philippines, his brother Steve is vegan, and he has amazing recipes, and he's trying. Vegan lifestyle is extremely tough, and he's just launching a cooking channel on how to do vegan easy. There's only one episode up, but it's pizza, and Stromboli is coming. I think the link. I think I dropped the link in the description for tonight's Wahoo. So we'll get more of those also. It's actually kind of really fascinating. It's not very funny, but I guess like vegan cooking probably isn't really that funny to begin with. Um, but what's fascinating to me about all this is that when I travel over the years, when Mrs. Comic and I, and when our daughter was traveling with us, younger age, they were vegetarian. I wasn't. There's meat all over the world. It was hard enough for vegetarians to eat in the world. Vegan is triple hard. So he's got some stuff he wants to show you. It's very entertaining too. So I cheat also because like he will tell you it's vegan cheese kind of sucks a little bit, but you get some pointers there. So I will order like a vegan pizza and or cheesesteak, but have them use regular cheese because I'm not vegan. I'm vegetarian. So food out in the world for people with any kind of health concerns, it's a tough world. So more on that later, and that's it's not really called Steve's Easy Vegan, but that's what I'm going to be calling it. It's called something else. I don't know what, but it's in the link. It's wait. Let me go back here to this thing. It is. It is. Da, 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 da. X Knuckle Sandwich X. I don't think the X's are part of the title. I think Knuckle Sandwich was probably taken, and instead of going like Knuckle Sandwich 4,892, he went with an X and an X. Um, but for now, that's all you got to know. More on that coming soon. Um, we have amazing friends. Crenshaw sent me a message that by the time my Tuesday night show is streaming, which is now Wednesday night, he would be a few hours away from landing in Hawaii. I think going back to Maui. I'm not 100% sure, but I think he was hired to babysit some goats. Now that really seems like a gig that I should have got, and so I'm a little pissed off at him about that. Goat sitting, you think would be my thing going on. So there's no real theme tonight. There's some crazy fun shit going on. Caesar is out of control fun. He made an appearance. Caesar is the stray cat that was 30 feet up in the tree. He's very much of a talker. You've heard about Bearcat, the hooligan outdoor cat that will never have a home. Safe distance. We feed it, and then I have to come in the house and close the door before it eats anything. So when Caesar was outside, Caesar would stand next to Bearcat as though they were besties. And Now that Caesar has come in, when Bearcat shows up at the back window, all hell breaks loose. And it's toned down now a teeny little bit. Now it's crying. It's mostly Caesar cries, and which brings me to another point. Caesar is really a talker, and he cries, and he looks like he says stuff, or weird shit happens, and he looks at me. Like a weird thing will happen. He'll be like, then he'll look at me like, explain this, explain this. Well, how the fuck do I explain something to a cat that I don't even know specifically what he's talking about? Like, I don't know if he's saying, hey, Bearcat's out there, I don't like it. Bearcat's out there, get rid of him. Bearcat's out there, don't bring him in, don't give him food. I don't fucking know what's going on, but I get a lot of messages, and mostly I get all the messages. I get all, Caesar does all the complaining to me, and Mrs. Comic gets cuddles. And Caesar will come in when he's done running around and going nuts and having fun all day long. Then he cuddles in with Mrs. Comic. He goes on her lap and does biscuits on her lap. He crawls under the blanket. But if there's any problems, if anything goes wrong, all that gets reported to me. And if I don't fix it right away, which I hardly ever can because I don't even know what the fuck he's upset about, I hear about it even more so. So there's some excitement going on there. Now, when Mrs. Comic and I went out to Erie for the solar eclipse birthday, we were a little worried that Caesar would be insanely bored. So what we did was we put a bird feeder, one of those window ones, on this front window over here, and it's one-way film treatment so the birds can't see Caesar there going nuts. But now they're a squirrel. American Psycho, the movie American Psycho, I think that's what it's called. The movie, the novel. We have a squirrel that's a version of that, and it goes fucking nuts. And so the windows have to be double screened for Caesar because he's big and strong. So when we close this window here, one screen comes out, the other one kind of stays outside. The fucking squirrel climbs up on that screen and just leaps up at this teeny tiny little feeder. It's only this big, and it started to fucking sit in it. And it flumps at the window, scares the fuck out of Mrs. Comic. Caesar gets all worked up, and then there's another window over there, and there's only a teeny tiny little crack because we have a thing to sun comes through it and it makes cool hippie prisms all around. But Caesar can only look through a teeny tiny little crack. So Caesar's over there going fucking nuts, and then the squirrel's over there going fucking nuts. It got so fucking bad that we had to take the bird feeder off the window. Now there's more bird feeders, so don't worry about that because here's what happens. So when Caesar's going nuts because there's a squirrel out there, I cannot I can't overemphasize how fucking nuts Caesar gets and the squirrel. That is that's Caesar doing a pull up on that fucking window. There's a where the top of him is. There's a ridge. He is a strong son of a bitch. I don't even know that I could do a pull up anymore, but he does pull ups up there, and the squirrel runs around and goes fucking nuts. So move the bird feeders to the other side of the house, and there were some there already. And again, mostly everybody that I know is insanely awesome. The people that we know are insanely awesome. That includes you folks. We just have like completely insanely amazing friends. So our neighbor who we love, Tom, sent me a text message warning that if we see this in the yard, that means he put his bird suit on and is sitting in our yard, which he is welcome to sit in our yard anytime he wants. It's bird sitting, and he can get. He bought this thing as a gag, and now Caesar's on the chair over here and wants to play. That's always scary. So he bought this thing as a gag, but he really likes it. And you can get birds to come like right up on you. They will fucking land on you with this thing. So now Tom said he will always send me a text that he's sitting in the yard when he's doing this, and that if he doesn't send a text and we see anything like this in the yard, I should get a hatchet and come out swinging because it isn't going to be him. So that is the fun, exciting world that we live in right now. It's crazy pants. But he's taking lots of pictures, and so we'll get some of those pictures on. There's patience there. There's patience of a cat to sit in a bird suit, waiting for birds to land on you. Um, but the squirrel was really pissed off that we took the feeder down, and we're still leaping at the window. This window, look, if you could see this window, I should have taken a picture of this window. It's so horrible and whatever, but just from us wiping it, because when there's a squirrel running around and you move the screens and shit, you got to wash your hands and you wipe all the shit off. So we're still dealing with all that. And so there's never really a dull moment around here. All that fun stuff is going on. Let's see here now. All kinds of notes. There's no, excuse me. It's gonna be a burping night. I should have put that in the credits. Also, when we talked about the solar eclipse, Mrs. Comic's birthday party, sing happy birthday to her on Lake Erie during actual eclipse, and then we came home a long way through Niagara Falls. I missed a whole bunch of stories, and I don't even remember what the hell they are. So when as those come back to me, then we'll report them. But a thing that we've been doing for a while, and I love it because when you take a trip with family and friends, everybody's taking pictures, and you take the very best ones, and then you text them around to each other. There's a group thread, but I like to start a group folder and send invitations so whoever was on that trip can just drop them in there, and it works for a lot of things. It works for vacations. It works for um, cats. If you have cats and you're trying to find homes for cats and all that stuff. So consider the shared folder invite. I think the nightmare is if you don't have an Apple phone, then that Apple shared folder might not work, or some people have a blocked setting on their phone so they can't receive the invite. I can't figure out all that shit for you. I'm just telling you, shared folders is the shit. You put stuff in there, and also when you travel, take pictures of the really stupid shit, because at the cottage that our daughter and her husband rented that was close to the beach, the footprints, there's stones in the front that go through the yard like walking stones, like a pathway to the porch. They're actual feet, footprints, like Bigfoot prints. And somebody took a picture of those, which is badass because it's a cool memory. You don't think to take pictures of all the stupid shit until you're home. I actually wish I would have taken a picture of the adult slutty porn shops out there because they were so retro and so old. And our daughter's partner Vince, when we passed one, he just said the name of the thing, like adult boutique. Then he went, "Oi!" And so now we don't have a picture to match up to the "oi," and so just it's a fun way to share your trip with each other, and then you don't jam each other's phones up with like 1,000 repeat pictures. So that's some good fun stuff there. Now we also have, let's see here, back to me. For reasons I can't tell you, twice since our solar eclipse trip, I myself, I told a story about when you go out west from the Allentown area and you head towards State College. When you go 322 west, you're actually going north a little bit along a river. There's a teeny tiny little mini Statue of Liberty out there around Sealands Grove for no apparent reason. I've been going past that. So I've gone past it twice now since the trip. So it's like a thing. It's a regular thing. This is the picture from the Nittany Valley volunteer firefighters fundraising show Saturday night. They were absolutely fucking fantastic audience. They were so good. They were so amazing. This is actually was north of State College by about that was north of State College by about a half hour, putting it in the middle of nowhere. So my Waze app didn't take me past the little Statue of Liberty. It went across 80, and that's a whole nother horror show right there. But the fun thing about that fire hall was it was really hard to get a cell phone signal. And the whole world works on cell phones anymore. Plus, also, um, the, the state colleges, the area, the Nittany Valley, whatever it's called, I don't think there was a house within like a half hour of this place. So if your house burst into flames and you had to call them, you had to hope like hell that they were getting a cell signal, and also plan on your fire burning for at least 30 minutes before they can get there to put it out. So that was fun excitement for me. Let's see here. I got some more fun shit there. We got that. We got that. State College. Okay. I'm babbling away like nobody's business here. Our daughter um, loves to go thrifting, and she was on the solar eclipse trip and the Niagara Falls, and we just run around all different places. She's a wizard at the thrift store. I would go into a thrift shop and look at a whole rack of stuff and see shit, worthless shit that nobody wants. She can look in there and pull out something amazing. Look at this. I love candles. It's it's not even an Amish thing. I just like candle lighting. She found this fucking lamp for me, and this thing is like a genie lamp. And this thing was on half price. I bought this thing like $5 or $6. I love this thing. The globe, whatever that's called, I don't even know what that's called, makes it way brighter than if you just have a candle there. So that's my fun find right there for my candle lighting. Thrift shopping. If you do it, take a pro with you, or you're just going to see all the shit that nobody really wants. Now, babbling away here, I think that's all my shameless self promotion. So here we go. Okay, so there. Back to my notes. All right, let's see here. Shared folders. I wanted to talk to you about that. Got it. We got. It's Wednesday night because I didn't feel like streaming. Let's blame Clee's sister. She was exhausted. She was exhausted. Somehow I could feel that, so we're gonna blame her. And that's another thing. I can get exhausted for no apparent reason. I don't even know why. When I sleep, I think I must run in my sleep because when I wake up, my legs are tired, and my feet are tired. I had the dumbest dream that I was on a. What happens is sometimes my dreams all mash up into weird things that have been happening to me. So Steve, with the vegan cooking, we watched his pizza episode, and he talked about the difference between using a pizza stone and a metal sheet. He likes the metal sheet, and so but the pizza stone was in my head, and then there was I don't know what the hell else was going. So I had a dumb dream that I was somehow on a wagon, but the top of the wagon was like a pizza stone, and somehow I got pulled around. I'm laying on this fucking pizza stone, and that wasn't even weird in the dream in the context of where I would wind up. But our daughter Jyoti is a school teacher, and she was having some different meetings and stuff, and some of that stuff was in my head. So the dream was me on a pizza stone wagon, eavesdropping on parent teacher conferences and hearing all the bad shit that teachers say about the kids and parents when the kids and the parents aren't around. But I waited until I could rat think everybody. And that I added all that shit because she didn't even say nothing bad about it. Her students or the parents. So my natural ability to sleep and have bad shit things just comes out in my dreams. Which brings me back to a thing I discovered about myself on our trip to the solar eclipse birthday party. I was going to Niagara Falls. It was in ways. I missed the turn for Niagara Falls, but the turn that was in Waze didn't match up to all of this exit for Niagara Falls. We're fucked! And then I had to dial that down and realize that we're really fucked. I'll just take the next exit. But I believe my first reaction to mostly anything is we're fucked. And it doesn't even have to be anything like missed turn. The What's going on right now is the Mrs. Comic and her sisters are planning, soft planning a trip for the whole family to go up to a house. Mrs. Comic's sister Susie passed away. I don't even remember what the month is. I'm sorry about that. So the family's trying to organize a trip to go up there, and my initial reaction was, "We're fucked," because see, when everybody goes, there's nobody to watch the pets. That's the problem. So my brain automatically defaulted to we're fucked. If we're all going, nobody's going to be able to watch the pets. Caesar seems like he might be the kind of cat who could do good in a car and come along. So as it turns out, we're not really fucked, but that's my seems like my default setting on any kind of news is we're fucked. I mean, any kind of news at all. It just could be, I've go to the bank to put money in there, and it spits the thing out. We're fucked. That's it. We're done. So I'm working on changing my default setting from we're fucked to slight glitch in the flow. Let's make some adjustments and see if we can go from there. So if your default setting is we're fucked, work on that. I'm working on it, and it's it's helpful once you realize that you completely overreacted to some stupid shit. Because however many times I've said we're fucked over the last 10 years, probably we were actually fucked like 0 of those times that I recall. Because if you're really fucked big time, you probably don't live to tell the story on your live stream show Tuesday or Wednesday night. I'm working on that. It's been very helpful so far, kind of, sort of. Another thing, um, and you folks really helped me out with something here, uh, because I realized different shit from my babblings and so on. I'm bringing back into my show, at the top of my show, more Amish specific humor. And I'll tell you why, because again, I talk a big game. I point the finger and blame and mock. Then I wind up being guilty. Well, I've told a story about opening for Ron Palillo, Arnold Horshack, and he didn't want to talk about Arnold Horshack at all. Well, I'm selling myself as a fucking Amish comic, so I really need to put some Amish shit back into my show because there's not really that much funny about farming. Uh, so I want to get right to the stuff, but people want to hear some dumb Amish shit. So I'm putting some silly dumb Amish shit in my show, and forgive me if I repeated this last week, but I had great luck because they gave the world premiere of what I used to do was I'd come out and I go, what does it take to make an Amish woman happy? Just 2 men a night. And then people would laugh, and I go, shame on you for laughing at that stupid joke. That's not the kind of thing that I tell in my show, which is kind of mildly weird on account of I already said it. But then after I say it, I say I'm not going to say it. So that therein lies the comedy. But that got a little tweak, that got a little rewrite, and I tweaked that to what does it take to make an Amish woman happy? Just 2 men a night, and then they laughed. I said, I possibly cannot forgive you for laughing at that joke because the implication is that Amish women are all whorish and they cannot achieve a state of happiness unless they are with not one but 2 Mennonites, and that makes them kind of slutty, and also it's insulting to the Amish because she didn't say what makes an Amish woman happy, just like 2 Amish men a night. No, and it's not even 1 Amish and 1 Mennonite. It's 2 fucking Mennonites. That implies that Mennonites have bigger dicks than the Amish, and I take offense to all that shit, and that it would be horse. It could at least be, what it takes to make an Amish woman happy. just an Amishman and who has a friend, a well-hung Mennonite friend, and none of that takes into account the idea that an Amish woman might also, instead of hooking up with two Mennonite, figure out there's different ways to use a rolling pin and a butter churn. So I'm trying to put more of that old, wholesome, classic Amish humor in my show. I'll make a note right there. So there's that. Um, but I also started to rethink about some old material. I used to mock that Lancaster to see the Amish is a tourist attraction, and what do people expect to see? They're filming Amish farmers farming, and unless they have time lapse photography and the corn will grow in surround sound, that's going to be a really boring video. But that concept remains constant because they basically go to Lancaster to see Amish people farming that really have no modern tools or anything. That's really kind of fucking dumb. That's a bad vacation. And you can achieve that by watching your neighbor with a push mower or a hedge trimmer that doesn't plug in or has gas. It just so you could enjoy the Amish experience really in your backyard looking at neighbors that don't have power tools to do their gardening. So perhaps I can save you a trip there. Perhaps I can't. I don't know. Now, when I was at the state college show, the fire hall show, I state college there used to be a fucking gold mine for me. One weekend a year, spring break comedian, I fucking cleaned up. If it, when that pandemic hit, that club closed down. The place where they ran the club actually was bought, and there's a church there now. I know I can't get booked in a church out there. I'd say the comedy club still exists, but it has a series of kind of pop up rooms that are really small, and I can't make any money, and they can't even really book me because I get paid too much, so I have to find new venues. So now that goes back to my complaining about that at the fire hall show. When last year I took Mrs. Comic along to the Bull Barn Playhouse, a historic playhouse. I only bring her along if I know I've been there, and it's like I told the fire hall, no offense, but I didn't bring Mrs. Comic along because I've never been here before, and I don't really know if this is a shithole or if these are assholes or whatever. So I got to figure out all that shit before I bring her along. Theaters are really, really kind of safe, and there were some people at the show Saturday night who were at the Bull Barn uh, ice show. Raimi Amish comic on ice is basically what it was, because I got a blast from the theater people. It was a small theater, beautiful little theater. It was sold out show, only seats 120 people, but they told me I should send a thing out to my ticket holders to, that the heat was sparse or scarce or some limited. The heat was limited, and they should dress accordingly. I asked a logical question: what the fuck does that mean? The heat is limited, and so it turns out that they really had no heat, and what they did was they brought in space heaters, which basically most space heaters only heat up the person that they're like in front of. If there was one here, Mrs. Comic could be warm and I could be warm. I was fucking it. They had space heaters aimed at me, and the fucking audience was fucking freezing to death. But apparently they were used to this, and they had about 1,000 blankets. So the audience all had blankets, and all the heat was at me, and we couldn't turn the heat because those fuckers all heat up at you like red like a stove. Like you could throw a fucking burger on there and fucking cook it up. So I complained about that too late, and we couldn't fucking move. So the people at the show Saturday night were there, so we had some fun talking about that because I didn't get to share with them that it hadn't happened yet. But as we were pulling in to this dirt road, Mrs. Comic and I were making jokes about the heat, and Mrs. Comic said, well, at least they probably have bathrooms, right? So that came back to haunt because they had a porta potty for the men, which really men don't even need a porta potty when it's dark and there's a bush. Pow, that's a fucking porta potty. So the ladies' room was down this little dirt road. I don't know, probably maybe a block as you would walk it, um, on a dirt road with rocks
In the dark.
and in the dark, no lights whatsoever. And the bathroom was in this office that was open. It was just a matter of getting yourself through the dark of night in the cold with no lights on this dirt road down there. Now, they were very nice, and they escorted Mrs. Comic, someone from the theater, like to get her to the point where she could see the light for the theater way down there. When it was fucking cold, and I had just wrapping up my show. She had sent me this text message. She couldn't take it anymore. She knew my show was almost over, and that she would meet me back in the buggy. So a German Shepherd appeared in the dark, in the cold of night on the way back, and a dark road where there was no longer an escort service to get her safely back there. Fucking German Shepherd barking at her in the cold, dark fucking woods like a horror movie. That's fucking Stephen King. That's Cujo. That's fucking weird fucking shit in the night. And then a ghost appeared. A lady appeared in like a white nightgown, like sleepwear, in the fucking cold. And that's what ghosts do. Ghosts don't give a fuck if it's cold. If you go out in the woods in the night and you see a ghost, or you see someone that's it's fucking cold and they just have on like a fucking nightgown, that's a fucking ghost. People don't go out in the woods with fucking nightgowns on. And so the ghost told Mrs. Comic, and she reached over and pulled open the back of a station wagon, which was sitting in the dark that Mrs. Comic couldn't even see. And she opened the door, the back of the station wagon, and the German Shepherd jumped in there, and the lady nicely but almost mockingly, like Mrs. Comic should have known. Now, if that ever happens again, or when it happens next time, you just open the back of this car door and then the dog goes in it. Yes, because that's what you do when you're walking in the dark of night when there's the fucking German Shepherd barking at you and the ghost lady shows up. You just start feeling around and hope like hell there's a fucking car. The people must know that when they park there, the ghost lady could come with her German Shepherd, so everybody knows. It's common knowledge if you live around here. You park in there and you just leave your fucking door open in case the ghost lady shows up. So it's a shared thing. And then you just tell the ghost which car that the dog got put in because it's friendly ghost. So there was that fun story. Uh, Crying out loud. Holy shit. Let's see. Oh, here's another one. I'm all over the place tonight, but that's my way. So we all know that I call Alexa Babumpsa because when I say Alexa, it will start to talk to me. I didn't realize I do this, but ours is kind of sort of hidden, and there's a hunk of sofa there. So if I don't speak loudly enough, Babumpsa doesn't actually hear me. But I get fucking pissed off right away. Like I'll say, Babumpsa, what's the weather? Flatline, I'll go, Babumpsa, what's the weather for fuck's sake? And it works the second time because I'm fucking mad. And again, my default setting is we're fucked, and that has to do with that also. And then Mrs. Comic after that, after Babumpsa made a dick out of me, Mrs. Comic asked it for the weather in a fucking stupid way. I just, she was like, Babumpsa, the weather. And she fucking told her. She didn't even say it right. You know, we say shit stupidly, and then she can say it's stupid. It's just like a cat. I get all the fucking complaints, and Mrs. Comic gets the cuddly shit. Even Babumpsa is nicer to her than it is to me. That's because my default setting is we're fucked. That's bad karma right there. So there's that. So we get that going on. Crenshaw's off to Hawaii. We expect to hear more about that. Family trip. Caesar talks a lot. Neighbor Tom with the Birdman suit. Um, oh, the other fun thing was, what were you going to say?
I was just gonna say we're watching a lot of old videos to try to.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, we're watching a whole bunch of old videos, um, which again that goes back to thrifting, and our daughter and her partner got hooked on VHS tapes, and he's all plugged into Vince works up at Mahoney Drive, and they have a sad situation up there. Their owner and projection guy passed away kind of by surprise during surgery. He's older, but it's very sad, and they're going to be doing some fundraising and stuff. But that world has introduced our daughter and her partner too, the world of VHS tapes and stuff. So we're starting to get into them here. They're really cheap at the thrift stores, and most of the time the thrift stores don't even fucking know how much they are. Four for $1, quarter a piece, 50 cents a piece. Uh, if you get them, look inside them. Uh, you can see if there's mold. You just pull the thing out and see if there's mold in there. But what's amazing is that um, there's commercials on some of them. Our daughter sent the greatest video. I won't play you the whole video, but I think I actually have it in here. There's a commercial before the movie appears on the VHS, and it's like an infomercial, like you've never seen it before. Clearer, sharper, cleaner, and you could get a DVD player for right around $200. Right now, you can get one for like $2 at one of the Goodwill stores. But the idea that they're putting a commercial on a VHS for to sell you a movie in a different format, I find ridiculously entertaining. That's hilarious. And this goes back to something that I never really thought about, but um, our daughter's so smart. It's a thread in my show that women are smarter than men. And man, I got some serious, intelligent female brains in this family. Um, our daughter talked about she's starting to not trust streaming services. A lot of these movies, we get the warnings. We'll put in the Jaws VHS and we'll say FBI, pirating's illegal. I'm thinking, I saw it's in the movies. I bought a fucking DVD, a fucking Blu-ray, a fucking digital download, and now VHS. Fuck you and a bucket of goo with your warnings. But she was talking about how the streaming services are not something in your hand, and that's what the attraction is. Like a DVD is this thing that's in your hand. VHS is this thing that's in your hand. You bought it, you own it, you have it. So they're trying to get everybody to just dump your DVDs, dump your VHS tapes, and just buy it through a streaming service. But if that streaming service turns to shit, you are fucked. I never thought about that. So, round of applause for our daughter, and Amazon's doing it now. They started putting commercials in some of their content. Like you pay for the Prime, so you don't have commercials. But they're like, well, we can't afford to do this anymore because our CEO only got 800 billion trillion for his Christmas bonus last year, so we have to put commercials in our live in our streaming shit. So that's another fun thing about uh, buying the VHS tapes, and they're also really loud. They're loud and clunky, which I find entertaining. Which brings us back to Caesar. He doesn't miss a fucking trick. I pulled out of here the other day, and Mrs. Comic said he was trying to study the sounds of how the car sounded when I got in it and drove off. So he's fucking learning shit. And when this tape we were watching, this VHS tape we were watching, when it stopped and it rewinds, it's like he was watching that thing like nobody's fucking business. So he is noticing all the sounds of the house, and it's shit I don't even notice, for fuck's sake. So we've been watching all these things. I like to watch things a million fucking times. We are hooked on Ted Lasso. Now that streams, but it's so tightly written, and it's also stupid. There's a Three Stooges, Monty Python, stupid brilliance to the comedy, and I keep getting stuff that I just didn't get before. I actually want to bring some of that Three Stooges really fucking stupid into my show. Not that I don't want to dumb my show down, but I find that I actually like that kind of comedy, and so that actually is what inspired me to write. What does it take to make an Amish woman happy? Just 2 men a night. The implication being, of course, that the Amish women are slutty. That's the kind of thing you'll see in the Ted Lasso. So give that a spin. I had trouble starting it because it seems like a sports series. it's not a sports series at all. It really isn't. It's just so tightly written. But I like to movies that I love and shows that I love. I like to watch them again and again and again, especially if I haven't seen them for a long time. For reasons I couldn't tell you, I started watching the Rocky movies. They're on HBO, and that's I get free with my phone service that I won't give up. And they talk to me about how much they know I love to watch TV, but I can't buy a new phone because I love to watch TV so much. So I was watching the Rocky movies are on there, and I was like, boom, 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 one, two, three. They're so entertaining. Oh my God, they're so entertaining. And then I I I know they're not real, but I look for loopholes and in continuity or shit that we possibly can't say anymore. So in Rocky One, a fun thing there is he's nobody and he's getting a shot at the title. On the night before, he can't sleep, but that makes all the sense in the world to me. So he lives close to the Spectrum in Philadelphia in the movie, and that's where this fight's gonna happen. So it's late. I mean, it's fucking midnight. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. He just walks in to the Spectrum that is somehow open at 1 o'clock in the morning, and it's all lit up. All his boxing shit for him to see. I'm pretty sure they lock them fucking doors the night before there's a big fight. I'm not 100% sure, but that's the kind of shit that has me screaming in the middle of the night. Um, but those are really a lot of fun. And he does some really great poetry in one of the movies. I don't know which one. So check out the Rocky movies again. Watch them in context of just how fun the stupid is in those. And a thing I love about the Rocky movies is that um, Arnold Schwarzenegger did it too. Sylvester Stallone pitched Rocky. I've talked about the series, the making of The Godfather, The Offer. There's a lot of stuff about retaining ownership of your material that you write. And so retain when you write anything, when you work on anything, you retain it because they wanted to buy the story Rocky from Sylvester Stallone, but he wasn't going to get to be in it. So he said, "Fuck you and a bucket of goo." So he got somehow funding to have it made the way he wanted it made, and pow, that was a fucking gold mine for him. And so the fun thing there is all I think all the shit that's really fucking fun and stupid in those movies would have been taken out if he wasn't allowed to write it and let it be stupid and not realize this is really fucking dumb. Yo, Adrian, uh, all that shit is a lot of fun. He takes her ice skating on a date and he can't skate, so he just fucking walks around and slides around on the ice while she skates. But I think all that stupid stuff would be missing. And the same thing happened with Arnold Schwarzenegger and whatever I don't even remember what his first big movie was. But I want to do the same thing to him because they're no, fuck you in a bucket of goo. I'm keeping a movie. I'm doing the movie, and I'm going to retain the rights. So it's fun to watch those movies just because of all the stupid that's in it. Um, so that's my fun shit. The other thing I realized, my notes are all over the place too. When I these shows I did out past the little Statue of Liberty, which also inspired me now to talk about more Amish shit in my show because I make notes. If I don't record my show, I make notes to see what hit and what missed. I've noticed out there in the land of the small Statue of Liberty, when you can't get a cell phone signal a half hour north of State College, I have a lot of stuff in my show about live streaming and zooming and watching commercials on Hulu fucking flatlines because they don't fucking get all the shit that I have. So I'm learning still learning that you really shouldn't talk about streaming shows on Hulu in a place where they don't have a cell phone signal. So lesson to the wiser. But I don't know if this made it to you guys or not. Um, Sometimes little shit happens when I'm performing a thing, even though they didn't get it. I liked it myself enough to make a note about it is that we lived a commercial-free life for like ever. And then when the pandemic hit, our friends were gifting us subscriptions to Hulu, but the cheap ones with commercials and shit. And Mrs. Comic and I like the killy shows, the suspense, thriller, serial killer, and when you're watching it without commercials, everything is smooth and it just goes to the next thing, and they fade to black, and the next thing comes in. But commercials are designed to appear when you are most engrossed in the show, and if you like killing shows, everything gets quiet as the knife comes up behind me, but I can't see it. Only you, the viewer, can see it. And then some genius decided that when they go to commercial, they'll raise the volume of the commercial to scare the fuck out of you because it'll be you can buy a car on your phone, motherfucker. That's way worse than the scary. It would have been less scary if they would have just stabbed the guy in the fucking neck. So even though I kind of sort of wrote that on stage somewhere where they didn't get it, I got it. I'm keeping it. I share it with you. So fuck them in a bucket of goo. So that's all the shit that's going on there. I don't have a whole hell of a lot to talk about. I hope everybody's doing good out there. This is bourbon tonight, bourbon balls. Cheers to everyone. Happy 420. I didn't even. I'm proud of me because I was out in a place where I thought if I honor marijuana, and they not really marijuana folks. I don't know. Well, they probably were. If if out there are pot smokers, I misjudged them. I apologize here. All right, so there's that going on. I don't have anything else really exciting to talk about. I mean, I'm thinking that's it. Let's see. Go back here over my notes. Um, I leveled up Pokemon Go from 41 to 42. You need a lot of Stardust, and you get prizes, and other cool shit happens. But then the next level 43 is like 15 million light years away. So I don't know what year we'll get to celebrate me leveling up to 43. Mrs. Comic is level 43. So she kicked my ass in Pokemon Go. I'm going through here to see if I missed anything. Caesar is in the window. He did make an appearance up here last week. He's a tunneler. He likes going in shit, diving in shit. And if we hear crying, that means he saw something out there that I'm supposed to deal with. I don't really know what the hell that is yet. So let's see here. Got this. I hate all food. That makes it tough. We're fucked. We covered that. Let's see here. That's it. That's it. I have nothing else all that exciting. I want to make sure I showed you all the pictures I have to show you. Let's see here. There's Steve's cooking show. That's a commercial for DVDs, I think. Let's go back to right there. Okay, this is just really for cat people. Okay, so that's Caesar doing a pull-up right there. Caesar's whole thing is that I should have put in a picture. Cats have different poses they do, and you go, oh, isn't that cute? Caesar is a big fucking cat. He's probably as big of a cat as a cat can be. That's not a fat cat. Which gives him a kind of a wild cat look, and his paws are fucking immense. They're really fucking big. We have to figure out how to trim his toenails because they get me a lot of times. He's still learning what's playing and what's not playing. So we got to do that. But he likes to hang his paw. That's part of his thing. He'll stretch and the paw will hang in the air just like that. So that's his pose. But he also only gives you a few seconds to take that picture. When you take that picture, he moves rather quickly. So that's his thing. he's still trying to figure us out. We're still trying to figure him out. Let's see here.
I think he heard you say his name.
Yeah, he knows his name, so when I just said it, he looked back to wonder what the fuck I'm talking about, and I actually don't even know what I'm talking about. So there's all that kind of fun stuff. I think that's kind of my show for this week. Uh, I set an alarm to go off so I wouldn't talk too long, but I think it went off, and I have the volume down, so that happens a lot. That happens a lot to me right there. Um, I think that's basically it. I should have some kind of big finale here, but I don't. I really don't have a big finale. Let's see here. I know one thing when I went through last week's live stream, I fast tracked it so I could get a screenshot of Caesar up there. I noticed that I sit fat. I sit fat. I'm not this fat. I sit fat. I just look. I looked at. I'm not that fat. I am not that fat, but I sit fat. Cats do it a lot. Caesar can sit fat and flat, but and that's the other problem when you're on vacation and everybody's taking pictures. When you put them in that folder, don't put pictures in of people like me if I'm sitting fat and I know I don't look like that. But it's weirdest thing how we can look a certain way when we're sitting. But I'm like now I've but I'm comfortable. How the fuck am I supposed to sit like this and push my chest down? Which brings me to another thing. This is how I'm going to finish the show right now. Okay, so in Pokemon Go, you get you're a trainer. I'm a trainer, and I have a handle. Hank's Pappy, Mrs. Comic has a handle. Sky Moon Stars. That's highly classified information. Um, and you get to pick the different characteristics of how your cartoon you looks. And there's no facial hair at all, so I'm fucking pissed off about that. My Pokemon Go me trainer is clean shaven, and so they have real generic ones to pick from, but they just gave it an upgrade, and there's really specific body parts. It's kind of cool because if you're overweight or you're beanpole, you want to be represented like that. Oddly enough, if you have a normal shape, you're fucked. There's no, Mrs. Comic did it. I think they did it like a unisex thing, so it's like gender neutral because she's over there dicking around. She said, "Did you see this? Did you click on body shape?" And she said, "Don't do it." And I did it because she said, "I kind of look like a man." And then I clicked on it, and I kind of look like a lady. Uh, so I tried to make my hips smaller, which made my knockers bigger. And when I made my knockers bigger, then my arms got real small. So I'm struggling with this. And we have like 20 some Pokemon Go people that we play with. We don't know. You meet them in the raid, and you don't know where the fuck they are. They can join with a remote pass, and so they can friend you, and then you get bonus points and all that shit. So after this facelift, mostly everybody in there has done weird shit, and Mrs. Comic attempted to bring Caesar into the show. I don't think he wants to do it, but a lot of people decided if they have a fat ass, they would like it portrayed in their avatar. He's sitting down here. This is kind of magical. I know you're expecting a bathroom stool treat out of me, but I'm just. This is just like a scene from The Godfather. All right, there you go. Let's hear it for Caesar. Well done, Mrs. Comic. Uh, I'm surprised that he sat down on my lap. He does it if there's a bribe involved. So I can't think of any finer way to end my show. Thanks for tuning in on Making Tuesday Suck Less Special Wednesday edition. As you can see, I'm dressed as it's Casual Friday, so there's that. And Caesar's going to be the big finale there. Mrs. Comic, thanks you all for watching, and that's it. Don't be a dick to each other, and we will see you next week. Or actually, you'll see us. We'll sort of see you, right? Next week. We love you. Thanks for tuning in. And if you're not on my Patreon, for fuck's sake, you can get in for like $3. And there's a year membership where you get 2 months free. I don't know, but we just love doing this. And I will leave you with this in case you don't know that you can get a DVD player for $200. Just friendly reminder from your Amish comedian. 99 and have a